You're watching Marvel Age Star Wars. My name is Sean. I'm sitting here with Brooks.
Hey everybody. Today we're going to do the first in a little
Little
series that
special.
we're going to start. It's like short videos where we're just showing off some stuff. Nothing
Some
fancy,
show
just
and
some
tell.
Star Wars stuff that we have and maybe
Maybe
other
some other
kinds of
stuff.
stuff
Yeah.
every now and then. Books, comics, toys, stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of names we could have for this segment. Like we call it the rummage sale. Like things from the attic. Especially now I just moved, so I do have a lot of this stuff on hand because I'm trying to decide what there's room for in the house and what's going back in a box somewhere forever. So it's an exciting time for the collectibles.
Well, that sounds fun. What
Yeah.
do you
It's like The
want
Bachelor
to
toys.
do you want to start?
Yeah. Let's start. We'll start with something small. This is not a Star Wars thing, but I like this little guy. See, can you see him? Okay.
Yeah, is that Mal?
Malcolm Reynolds. Yep.
Cool.
And I don't know what that's from. It says it's a Funko, but
But not a Funko
but
Pop. I didn't know they had other things. I
I
guess
don't
it
know.
makes sense that
Yeah.
they
So
do
I
it.
don't know what that is. I just got that at the collectible store downtown, and it didn't have a package or anything, so I have no idea.
A collectible
These
store?
odd bits. Yeah, it's like a they sell toys and comics and stuff. It's
Well,
called
damn, dude.
Planet Fun.
When I
Yeah,
go
it's a
down,
fun little store.
I'll need to go check that out when I get to
Oh
Savannah.
yeah, you love it. Yeah, if it's open, may not be a good time. Not really a good time to be going around.
Well, yeah. What else you got? It's like
Well, let's
that's it.
see.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
you said it was short. Just the tiniest. Like, all right. This is a guy I think is cool for a couple reasons that I think it is sort of appropriate for like the Marvel Age Star Wars. Get him away from the light.
So,
Now that
it's Black Series. I haven't seen those. Is that
yeah.
is that current?
No, I've had it for a while. I also got this at Planet Fun, by the way, but uh, it's not that current. I mean, it's current era. It's not like vintage or anything.
What movie is it
Because
from?
well, this is from the first movie. This guy, it says his name is Mosep Benede,
From Force
but
Awakens?
no, this is from the original Star
Oh,
Wars film.
Episode
This,
4. Okay. I
yeah,
can
this
barely see
guy
it.
you
I'm
can
sorry.
find. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Let's see if
it's
I
just
make.
I have a small monitor. The video head people at home are like watching it on TV. It's like, my God, it's 8 feet tall. You don't have to hold it
Yeah,
that close.
sorry about the focus on that, guys.
That guy
Because
looks kind of cool.
suck. Well, what I like about this guy is the reason I thought it was fun to get the figure is this guy was in the cantina, and they just called him Walrus, like not to be
Walrus
confused
Man.
with not to be confused with him. Yeah,
So not to be
Walrus Man
confused
is
with Walrus
Ponda
Man.
Baba is the
Oh,
canonical name of Walrus Man, but this guy they just called Walrus, and he was just one of the randos standing
he
in the
wasn't
back.
even a man.
Yeah, not even a man. He's really more walrus than man.
Well,
But
that's neat. I think
the
it's
reason
cool
I
that
think
they
this
go ahead.
well, I was going to say the reason I think this is cool in terms of the Marvel Age Star Wars thing is we will see this guy in the comic book
Oh,
because in the early issues of the Marvel Star Wars comic, they start they start featuring Jabba the Hutt as one of the early villains. But of course, there was no visual reference for what Jabba the Hutt looked like. He hadn't appeared in anything yet. So they just took an image from Tatooine and they modeled Jabba the Hutt after one of those creatures, and it was this guy. So when you start seeing this Dr. Seuss looking character pop up, and they keep saying he's Jabba the Hutt, it looks exactly like this guy.
huh. In the comic, that's neat.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun thing. It won't be too long before we see that, but
I,
Jabba in that incarnation does appear a few times in the old Marvel comic.
I used to collect toys like the action figures. I haven't done it in like 10 years or more, but I remember there was like this dwindling count of people that appeared in the various movies that have not had a figure yet. And they were getting down to like the actual like way in the background parts. Like some dude in the corner of a at the bar you could barely see. He's like, that guy needs to get made. We haven't made him yet.
You need a name so we can do one of these behind the scenes short stories about him for some reason
Now with the
and
new
say that he
movies,
was somehow integral in building the Death Star for
yeah.
some reason
Well, yeah,
every time.
because all the they'll have he'll have his own EU series, and it'll like everyone's famous.
Yeah, that's a. I liked when they did stuff like Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina and things like that, but especially when they got to the Bounty Hunters one, like the stories are so bad and such fan fiction.
Yeah.
There's a reason that Legends could not survive into the new canon. Like, I don't think IG-88's brain was used as the AI that fueled the Death Star. I
That
think we
is
can all
that
agree on
doesn't make
that.
sense at all. I mean,
It's
it must be the second Death Star you're talking about because he was still in his brain was still in his head in Empire Strikes Back, I
yeah,
assume.
good call. I can't remember, but it would have to be. Yeah,
That's dumb.
good call on that one.
But also, oh, never mind. I think the EU just got a little too convoluted. I mean, it's like thousands of comics and books and stories, and after a while, they're just like, we got to streamline this a little bit. But there's a danger of that happening again.
Well, you don't want the stuff like I do get critical because you don't want them to try to be too original because then they bring in too weird a spin on things, but you don't want to be too fanficky either where they draw too many unnecessary connections. So like how is it all these people in this bar all have some bizarre connection to things I've already heard of in the Star Wars universe? It's like a vast universe, but there's just one tiny little bar on this nothing planet just seems to be full of people who have some kind of significant contribution to events I'm already aware of. And
Let's
I
see.
only know about 4 things that have happened in this world.
I grabbed some comics because, I don't know why not. This is Star Wars 2. Now, this is an
Cool.
interesting thing I want to show because this is a second print. There's a
Oh, cool, yeah.
number of things you can show. I'll link to a site that explains this because it can be very confusing in the first and second prints for the first, 6, 7, 8, whatever Star Wars issues. One big indicator this is a second print. It's 35 cents.
That's a good one.
Now,
Some people
there
will say
is a
that the
35-cent
diamond indicates
version
that
of the first print, and it's worth a fortune. It was like they were testing the market and releasing
for the
35
direct
cents.
sales market.
Yeah, but they only did it in like 3 or 4 markets in the South, like somewhere in Tennessee and somewhere else. So there's only a handful of them. The number one 35 cents, like a Holy Grail kind of comic. But I think 2, 3, 4, they had 35-cent versions also. But this isn't it. So you'll see this in the store and you'll go, oh my God, I'm going to be rich. No. One of the big giveaways, of course, this says, I don't know if you can see this stuff, Sean, but it says second print down here because I have a sticker on it. But if the area where the barcode is blank, that's the second print. If this is
Yeah, but
a diamond up here with the little number 1, that's the second print.
so were
And
they not doing direct sales diamond for in their first print runs?
I don't think that they had the little Spider-Man yet back in those days. But again, I'll have to look this. I'll put a link up. Here's the number 2 first print, just to kind of show the difference. It's 30 cents. I can't tell where to put my finger. It's so weird. It's 30 cents. It's got the normal kind of setup up there instead of the diamond shaped, and most importantly, it's got a UPC. So the UPC and the normal shape box up there, that's guaranteed first print. So something to keep an eye out for. This is our first episode, and I haven't learned how to show things to the camera yet, so it looks kind of I'm doing a terrible job of it. Here's number 3.
I wish I had them here. I could show you another on some of the
Number
reprints.
4.
They actually do reprint, have the word reprint
Yeah,
on
that's
where
true.
the little loop
Let me go.
is. Those are
Yeah.
the easiest ones to spot because
Which
they
is
were
weird
kind
because
enough
they
to
don't
put
all
on
do
the
it.
front
Like
cover.
this one does not say it, but normally it'd be right here on the edge. It'd say reprint vertically right there. But mine
Now, if
doesn't
you
do it.
open that up and looked at the bottom of the
Yeah, it'll
first
say down
page,
there.
the indicia will indicate that it's a second
Yeah,
print.
I'll see if I can show that. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up, but where is it? I don't know if you can see. It doesn't say it like it does in the others, but down here, oh, this is awful. I can't I can't get it to show. It says this is a reprint of previously published material or something like that.
Yeah, I've got a number 1
Usually,
that's like that. Where
later
on, the cover,
on,
it
they
looks
actually
very
have a
good.
big bold second printing down at the bottom, but they don't do that in this one.
That's funny. I didn't think that all of the Diamond published ones were reprint though, but I could be wrong about that.
This is Well, they might not be. Like I said, I'll put a link up to that site that shows what's what, because it's very confusing.
Well, when they don't say it on the front cover, especially because I've got a couple of the reprints and they say it right there, and that makes you think that they all do. But
Yeah, but they
I
don't.
guess at
That's
some
why it's
point down
weird.
the
I
line, they
think
were like, we should separate these out.
these were, I don't know, I mean, you're a Marvel historian guy more than me, but I think these were early days for reprints. They hadn't like figured out exactly how to differentiate them, or even if they needed to.
I'm
So
sure that they were kind of early days for comic book collecting as a serious sort of thing. I mean, I'm sure
yeah,
plenty of people did collect comics, but you're talking about a time where comic book stores were kind of a new deal. Like that wasn't a norm. Because comic book stores, and the reason, one of the indicators that you can see for that is that comic book stores came into prevalence after distributors like Diamond came into the mix, because that's all direct sales.
yeah.
Like, if you see a barcode on it, that's like newsstand sales. Like a normal vendor probably isn't going to be able to get hold of those things because that's usually selling to larger publications and to larger distributors for the most part.
Another
So
interesting
unless
thing
you're like
about
running a newsstand, you don't have those.
another interesting thing about newsstands, got the UPC. The deal they had with the distributor was they would get so and so number of copies, and the ones they didn't sell, they had to destroy. And so what they would do is they would usually just tear the cover off and mail it
Yeah.
back. So newsstand sellers felt comfortable ordering, a ton of them because they knew that what they didn't sell they could send back for refund. Whereas the direct market guys had to keep what they ordered, even if it didn't sell, and that's where the back issue market started happening. They just start keeping them in these boxes. Here's another example of a
Yeah.
second print versus a first print. The number 6 here. Now number 6 is 35 cents by this time. So I think maybe number 4 was the last 35 cent special 35 cent. The last regular 30 cent copy. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
They
I'd be
went to
curious to
35
see
cents. So if
in
you
the
find a number
indicia
one
there,
35 cent first print, it's worth a fortune. You get a number 6 35 cent, it's just normal.
because I've
And
got that guy, the diamond version. I wonder if it says in the indicia that that is a
do you
second
have
printing.
does it have anything down here in the box?
It won't, because if you see that diamond, it's direct sales, so there's no
Yeah.
barcode for that. There's not going to be anything here. That's why normally you see like a little Spidey face or something, because they don't use that barcode spot for anything.
Let me put you up full screen so they can see yours.
But when I look, but see, if I look in the indicia of this one, it doesn't say anything about it being a reproduction.
Oh, weird.
That's why I
So
think
that's the
at
first
some
print.
point, like their first printings were going out to Diamond too. In
That's
that
so
initial
confusing
run.
because it looks just like my second print.
Yeah, well, that's where it gets confusing. A lot of that, because I've seen sites that say that if you see that diamond, it's like maybe on the first couple issues, like if they
Yeah.
weren't doing it, if they weren't sending them out direct sales for those first couple of issues in their first print runs, but later on, it's just a distinction between whether it's a newsstand edition or a direct sale. And like I said, the diamond, I'm sure, is just because it's diamond was the name of the distributor
Here's
who
number
was doing
7.
this direct sale.
This
Yeah, I
is
got
when
that one.
these are where we started picking up on our show with
Hmm.
the Adventures of Han Solo, and there's number 8. Who do you see there? There's Jackson. Number 9. Now notice these are first prints, but they look just like those second prints. They have the diamond. I got nothing
Yeah,
down there.
that's what I'm saying. At that
Very
point,
weird.
they
At
were
this point,
available to
it's
newsstand and
I
direct.
don't actually think there are second prints of 9, 10, 11. Those.
Maybe not. I
I'm
don't
not
know
sure where
how.
they stopped, but they didn't go that high. So if you see any number 10, in my limited knowledge, that'll be a first print. Like
I'm curious to
here's number
see
10.
if there were additional print runs for any of the issues beyond the adaptation. It was the adaptation that was so wildly
I feel
reprinted.
like there are not. I feel like there aren't, but I'll have to. I'm going to put a link down there in the description
Yeah, it's
because
neat stuff.
this is an interesting subject.
It's difficult if you're looking on like eBay or something because some of the stuff at the cover can be presented as legit, and they may think it's legit. Like they may not be like faking,
Yeah,
but you really, if you're really looking on the seller, you want to check out sites like that to know, and especially just ask them for a picture of the indicia if
yeah,
you're
you
not sure.
definitely should because I've seen some sellers that I suspect do know, but buyers, especially if they're not into, yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, it's
There's
difficult, man.
there's
Valence.
Valence.
Yeah, definitely no second
Here's the
run.
one that lied to us.
Yeah, Empire Strikes My Foot.
And finally, for some reason, I have two of this one. Here's 18.
Yeah, we haven't got to that at this point yet,
Yeah,
but we
we
will.
will in a moment. So for some reason, I have two of that one. And, weirdly enough, I don't have another Star Wars issue until like the 30s. So I missed a lot of stuff there.
What frustrates me is when I really started hardcore buying up issues was just a few years ago. So I got like most of the first 50 except for like number 1 and number 42. And yeah, that's awesome.
So this
Yeah, I
is
don't
my
want to.
number one. It's encapsulated, so, depending on how you feel about that, it's 8.0 CBCS. I guarantee you, though, if this were a CGC, I don't know if you guys know or care anything about that. This would be a 9.0 in CGC. It's got some foxing. I don't know if you guys know anything about that stuff or care. But the spine is beautiful. There's like no creases on that spine. And it's got a
It's really
tiny
nice.
tear down here you can't even see. And I gave it an 8.0. But anyway, I got it, graded so it'd be protected and framed and stuff. I'm not going to read it, right? So that's my number one. I used to have two of them. I wish I had kept it. But that was back when they were like $20 a piece.
Yeah. Well, who knew the lingering value of those comics? I swear, it used to be. I mean, it used to be mostly true that licensed comics weren't considered to be very valuable,
And that
and
stayed true for a long time. And still true for most comics, I
still
guess.
mostly true. The only
Yeah.
time I see where that's different, and I've said this before with stuff like Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, if you see like these licensed properties where they're or even if they're not licensed properties, where you have these two companies doing crossover books, you should probably buy those because that's a limited agreement between those two publishers, so they're not
Yeah.
likely to get reprinted even in
Exactly.
trades.
Yeah, when
So,
Marvel acquired the Aliens and Predator, apparently there's some Batman versus Predator comics that are
mhm. Oh,
even
I've got
and
some
the
of those.
trades, but yeah, those are picking up in value now simply
Nice.
because you can't buy them anymore. I mean, they're not going to reprint that because
The the
unless they
old
make some
Marvel
weird
and,
agreement.
and DC crossovers are all pretty valuable too, especially the original ones. Like I've got a couple of the Superman, Spider-Man ones that came out in like the big Treasury Edition style ones. I'll have to bring those out and show them to you. But because they don't get, even when you find a trade that reprinted a bunch of that stuff, those trades can be valuable because they're not going to stay in print because those two companies have to come to an agreement every
Yeah,
time they decide to reprint those things. So
and
if you see
unless you
that kind of
pirate
stuff,
it, you're not going to find it on their site either, probably. So
yeah.
kind of
So
interesting. Like
that's good stuff to pick up.
you think
Like I didn't
nowadays
think
we live
much
in a
of
world
anything
of
when I saw Freddy versus Jason versus Ash on the shelf. I was like, that's interesting, but I didn't think there was any urgency in picking it up. I wish I had because I've been slowly buying that book for the last few months because they're hard to come by.
we live in this world of abundance now because of the internet and especially things that you could watch or listen to. It's so easy just to find it online that we think nothing of it, but it's weird that there are things that you can't get online because of copyright reasons or, you know, trademarks and stuff. It's kind of interesting to think of those orphaned works of art out there that for legal reasons no one will sell you. I mean, you could probably pirate just about
Or to think
anything, but
that there are things that even if you're willing to pay the price for them are not always easy to find. That'll blow your mind sometimes. Like I can't believe I can't find someone selling that at all. Like I could see if people are out there selling it for a price. I'll show you. I'll show you one of mine. because it sort of falls. You can find this, but it's harder to find. But see if I can.
Oh yeah,
You see that?
yeah. We showed that briefly, I think, in a or mentioned it in an earlier episode.
Yeah, we showed a picture
Yeah,
because we were talking about it, but
that's
I just thought it'd be
gorgeous.
fun to show you the actual books. Yeah, they come in this beautiful slipcase, and then it's these three different volumes, and these are the Russ Cochran reprints of the old comic book strip, and they only reprinted the Archie Goodwin Al Williamsons, and I'll just show you. And they were all printed in black and white.
Yeah,
So even the Sundays, which are originally printed in color, were only printed in black and white here. But these are real neat editions because there are only 2,500 of them ever made, and they were numbered. And I think they're signed. Who signed it? Probably just by Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson.
well,
Let's see if I
still,
can
that's
see
neat. Just to have, I'd love to have Al Williamson's signature. That's cool.
see if that's true. Yeah, see if I can show you that. Ooh. Can you see that at all?
Yeah. Well, I could back up a little bit, let it refocus. There you go. Yeah, that looks nice.
Yeah. So this one is number 72.
Oh, it's early too. Out of 2,500.
So
I wonder if people put any value out of having like number one in the 2,500.
I'm sure they do. People find the dumbest things to have value about. I mean, that was a splurge for me because I don't normally look for things just for the sake of it being, scarce or
Mm-hmm.
collectible. But I just, at that time, I was really excited about those because those hadn't been reprinted in a volume as the strips. They since have, like, I think it's IDW, I think, has a really nice series where they reprinted all of the strips, including the Russ Manning ones, in three different volumes, and they reprint the dailies and they reprint the Sundays, and the Sundays are in color. So those are really nice
But for
editions.
like
I have the
30
first.
years, there were none, right?
Yeah, not at all. You had to find a place. There was a site that I had downloaded a bunch of them because there was a blog that someone ran for a while where they just ran them all. And if you go to that blog now, they're not there anymore. Like somebody got wise to that.
Yeah.
But I had downloaded a bunch of them. I read them all on there, and I had downloaded a bunch of them. I may have downloaded all of them from that site when I was. But now you don't have to. You can get them legit in really nice volumes. So that's the fun stuff. I hate it when something is suppressed where you can't find it anywhere.
It is
But
weird when something like an album gets out of print and they won't even sell it digitally. It's like, well, why don't you just put it? It costs you nothing to have a digital file out there for people to buy, but
yeah,
no, it
that
just
gets
doesn't
frustrating.
exist anymore.
Let's see what else I got over here.
There are a lot of TV shows and especially horror movies that never got re-released after VHS that aren't on
Yeah,
DVD or certainly not on streaming.
yeah, not they're
And
almost.
so there's a market for that kind of stuff. People that want to, even if it's a crappy movie, people want to have it. You know what I mean? What is that? Is that
Best I can
is
do
that Thrawn?
is the Thrawn Lego man.
Ah, I didn't know they had a Thrawn Lego man.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
He's
Sorry about the
pretty
focus
cool, I
here. We
guess.
can. So yeah, he's cool. I like him. He's pretty good. It's just a regular little Yoda.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna break my toys out one of these episodes. It's gonna be a little bit of a chore for me to get him.
This guy might be my favorite little figure. He's a
He
little
is
cute
the
figure.
best of the vintage figures in my mind.
He is
He's a good
great. He's got
sculpt.
a little coat,
He's
little
got cloth
snake.
robe, a little belt, cane.
He's got a
I
little
mean,
walking stick.
he's small,
He's
but
so
to me,
cute,
he was the
and he's
best of
got
the
a little
vintage
smile.
figures.
He's just a beautiful little sculpt. They've got some cool. Some of the newer Yoda figures are fun, but they don't always have the same charm
Yeah,
as Yoda. Let's see who else is back here.
I loved the card too. That was my favorite picture of Yoda.
There's
Rancor. Rah, rah, rah.
so
I
they
like
got
the
some pretty
vintage
good.
Rancor. He's kind of small compared to the ones they've made for the modern
Oh
toys.
really? Are they bigger?
Oh God, they're huge. I have one that I'm probably going to sell because I've never even opened it.
Oh, I got you. Here's a big one. He's obviously not vintage.
Lando on a tauntaun. Why not?
Pretty sweet.
Mixing up our worlds a little bit. That's cool. So they can have
Well,
tauntauns on Bespin. You don't know.
I have
He's
the
wearing
Han
his
Solo,
he's wearing his cape.
But the Han Solo is just a guy in a parka.
Yeah.
It's not a very cool costume. He's just wearing a regular parka. So he's in a box somewhere.
Is
I
it
don't care
blue
about
or
that.
brown?
The parka
Yeah.
is blue. The Han
See, there's
Solo.
some controversy about that. Apparently, in the actual movie, it was brown.
Really?
Like the prop, the coat itself was a dark brown coat. But
Everyone
for
just
some
remember it's
reason,
blue because
it comes off bluish, and all the toys were made blue
or
because I
blue.
guess.
Yeah,
But I
that's
just read that
funny.
recently. The actual coat itself was a dark brown. Now I kind of
That's
want to go
funny.
watch it and see if I can tell.
I didn't know. We'll be hearing this guy for a while, but it's okay. We got this guy. That's his little feet.
Oh,
They still
cool.
work. But
That's
he
neat.
does.
Is
I
that
think he
newer?
was supposed to. It's newer in like '97.
Oh, so
Like it's not vintage.
as fat as like more than 20 years ago is new.
Yeah,
I mean, it
exactly.
kind of is vintage now, I guess.
Well, I'll show you sometime. I don't have it with me here, but I do have a vintage one, but he doesn't have any working parts. He doesn't even, I mean, he could work for all I know. He doesn't have, I could try to see, but I would be surprised if the people at the store didn't put batteries in him and test him. But he doesn't have the remote and he doesn't have the battery plate. But he's cool. I have him with my large size figures because he goes well with the C3PO, but he's truly vintage. Just doesn't work. And his dome isn't silver anymore. Unlike that one where it was just kind of a flat gray. The dome of the original R2D2s used to be a chrome kind of,
Yeah, they were plated somehow. I forget what they called it.
yeah, and it flakes off
Yeah,
and it's just mostly black
my
now.
3POs and did that too. I remember I had a Death Star droid that's like this weird pale, white plastic because all the silver peeled off.
That's interesting.
I'll find it and I'll show it one of these. Let us know what you guys think of this, because if you guys
Yeah,
like
because
it,
we're just amusing ourselves here.
I mean,
Just
I
some guys
literally have hundreds of toys I can show. Lando. I love
full
the font and stuff they
adventure.
use for the old titles on those.
I love these covers. I would actually like to have these paintings
Yeah,
hanging
they
in my
look
house.
nice. Yeah.
Look at this Flame Wind of Ocean, like
I wonder if you
pretty
can find
sweet.
that.
I
Like a
have
print of
looked,
it.
but I would love to find. I guess you could probably do a scan and get a decent blow up.
You should contact the artist. He may have the original still. Like I've got those in my attic. Sure, you could have them for $20.
Surely that they
People
would
buy
sell for
like
more.
comic art all the time now. Like that stuff's
I
out
would love
there.
to buy some comic art. What else we got here while we're just forging around? We got these book club editions.
I haven't seen. Oh, I've got that last one. The one at the back there. I've got that.
Oh, yeah. You don't have
So
the original, not even the paperbacks of these guys.
no, the
Uh,
last one I do. That jet and what is the last one there?
the Lost Legacy.
Yeah, Lost
That's cool. This
Legacy.
cover. It's a nice
I've got
design.
that one. Yeah.
Have you read? You've never read these when you were a kid?
I think when I was little, but I don't remember it at all.
I think we may have talked about that cover for the Star Wars novelization.
Oh, that's the original one? Like,
This was the original like book club edition. When you see these like mid range, and it's got oh shit, it's got
it's got
the
stuff from the movie.
color pictures in the middle.
What does
But
the
when you
cover look
see
like?
those mid range, yeah, not that exciting. But
I used to love when they had pictures in the middle of these books, so like
used to be
color
so much fun.
pictures. I thought that was so cool. I love the smell of them too.
But these are book club editions, so they're like mid-sized hardcovers of stuff that would have normally only been printed in paperback, which is what those were. Those were widely only printed as mass market paperbacks. But it's fun if you want a hardcover edition of something that never really had a hardcover. That's what the book club editions are for. They
It's
had book club editions of the first two Lando books, but I can't find them, and apparently the third one didn't even have a book club. So there's the guy. Look at that guy.
oh, that's vintage. Yeah, for sure.
I'm thinking very seriously about breaking this guy open and painting him, though. I'm
I
not
mean,
like that in love with having it just on the
is it
card sitting
worth
there.
anything?
I could look it up, but I bought it for like $10 on eBay a
Yeah,
few years ago,
because you might be able to find one open for cheaper, and
I guess.
do that. I hate opening things if they've lasted that long. I know that's weird, but
It's
it's like
true. It's a bit of heresy, but I go back and forth sometimes when I have some. I'm like, not really enjoying this thing in the package, and it's just getting all
Yeah, the
beat up and
packaging on
dusty.
that wasn't all that super cool looking. Not like the action figures with the big picture and stuff on it. It's kind of blah looking. So I could see where you're coming from. Let us know what you guys think. What kind of stuff you guys want to see. I mean, we've got
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, because
e-
I do have a bunch more stuff.
everything. The only thing that we probably don't have are like those life size statues that you can buy for like ten
I like
thousand
the sharper
dollars.
image, like this Stormtrooper. Ooh, I got this guy. This is obviously not a Star
Oh,
Wars, but
very cool. Is that Transor Z? Is that
no, this is
no
Mazinga.
Bazinga?
Bazinga.
So who is
This is.
Transor Z? Do you remember that?
I remember
He
it, but
looks
I
just
don't.
like that.
He's probably just. Some of these come from the same things, and they just get
Yeah,
recycled in
yeah.
America. These in America were called the Shogun Warriors, but he's got a bunch of his little missiles. When I was a kid, I had one named Radine, and he was the one who had like the rocket firing fist. And they actually did. I'd love to find it, but these are hard to find. Megan got me this one, and
Move him over a little more.
over this one,
Yeah, there you go.
and you see his little boots.
To
More of
the
these, and
towards you. I got you cropped a little. There we go.
sorry, see if I can show you his swords.
Ooh, nice.
So he comes with a lot of his
He
pieces,
just keeps it in his big leg
just
piece.
in case I run out of all my missiles. When my boot missiles run out,
I like
and
having
my
missiles mounted right next to your head.
my head.
Wow.
It's like, well, I don't fire them from there. They're refills
These guys are
from my
neat to me because they're kind of precursors to Transformers, and you could see the influence.
and they're hard to find for a decent price because I don't think they made them very much. People my age remember the Shogun Warriors because you may have had one when you were a kid, but you don't now because you wrecked it because they're not
Yeah.
super high grade kind of plastic that they're made of. They had a ton of little parts that were easy to lose. This guy's even got stickers. He even came with like replacement stickers. Like
Oh
the
wow.
guy that had him before me took really good care of him. And I don't know the circumstances where he had to part with him, but
Are
I didn't.
you sure those
I didn't.
circumstances weren't you bending his arm to the point of breaking, like holding a broken glass
No,
to his neck?
he was a birth. Oh God, watch out, Michigan. He was a birthday present, so I don't know the full story
So she
behind
was
that.
the one doing it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Gotta love any woman that'll murder for you to get a toy. So let us know what you think, kiddos. What kind of stuff you want to see, if anything, because there's a good chance one of us has it. Because we spent way too much money over the years on stuff from our childhood.
Silly stuff, yeah. I still like it if it doesn't take up too much money and too much space. Those
So
are now the considerations. Don't have a place for it? No. Or that's too much money? No.
that's show and tell, guys.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Stay tuned for. We'll be coming back soon with the regular reading a comic episodes. Check out tv8mydinner.com. It's got our podcasts on there and some other fun things.
Check out our Mandalorian reviews that we
on
got
this
week for week
on
the
this channel.
Mandalorian. So that's a good thing.
Give us some comments. Let us know what you think about that and about whatever. Sean has a book on Amazon. Go check that out. The Cosmic Unconscious.
The Cosmic Unconscious.
And I guess that's it. Until later.
I'll bring a copy of that for show and tell next time.
Nice.
Like, this is my favorite book.
This signed by the author.
Yeah, exactly.
Limited
To Sean,
edition.
my
for
best
copy of
friend.
one. To my favorite author. All right, guys. My name is Brooks,
I'm Sean.
and we will see you later. Take it easy.
Snoop.